Hi, it's Michael Dermer, and in this lesson, we're going to talk about creating a positive impression with a buyer. You know, generating revenue and generating sales is critical, so understanding some of the nuances that lets a buyer have a great view of you in their head is really critical to achieving those goals. Okay, so let's get into this lesson. So what does it mean to make a positive impression with a buyer? And frankly, why is it important, right? Most of us don't wake up every day and say, somebody please sell something to me, right? We're busy, we're on social media, we're on our phones, we're on our iPads, we're on our tablets, right? We're already overwhelmed every day by the clutter, okay? So creating a positive impression with a buyer can actually have you stand out from all of that, okay? So what are some of the tools and techniques that actually let you do that, okay? First is show that you're going to be respectful of their time. Say, listen, I don't want to take too much of your time. I want to take 10 minutes and this is exactly what I'm going to do for you. Just by showing that you're sensitive to the fact that they have a lot of things going on makes the buyer go, oh, that person respects the fact that I'm not sitting around all day waiting for this person to come sell me something. That applies to actually both sales and marketing, right? When you're marketed to, right, consumers appreciate, right, when marketers understand how little time that they have, right? So all those things start to create a positive impression with buyers, okay? Next is show that you're accommodating to them, okay? Those can be simple things like going to their office for meetings, right? It can be simple things like saying, hey, listen, I can fit into your schedule whenever it's good for you. When you show that you're accommodating to them, right, and really go out of your way to do that, that can create a real positive impression with the buyer. I know it's simple, but it's a really effective technique. Next is slow down the information that you're presenting. Okay, remember, we all are going fast, right? And we all know what we're talking about. But if you slow down the information for your buyer, right, you make it simple and easy to digest, they will appreciate that. Okay? When you go into a buyer and you kind of ramble and you show them 100 different things, right, and they can't really digest it and they walk out and everybody feels like chickens with their head cut off, they really appreciate, right? Certainly I do, when somebody comes to the table and boils it down into slow, simple messages that I can digest and then ask them for more. Next is you really have to think about what a customer wants and needs, okay? A customer doesn't want or need your product, right? A customer has their own wants and needs, right? You understanding what those are, right, puts you in a different light than people that just go in and try to sell somebody something. So I'll give an example. When I started as a lawyer, the first day I started at a New York law firm, the next day recruiters would call you on the phone. And 9 out of 10 recruiters would say, I can get you a job across the street for 20% more money and less hard work. Well, I'd only been there for a day, so we didn't really believe that. But 1 out of 10 would say, listen, I don't care what you want to do today, right? Tell me what you want to do in 10 years, okay? So they were thinking about my wants and needs, not that they were trying to sell me some recruiting services. And I can tell you, I looked at that 10th much differently than I looked at the other 9 that were talking to me. Another thing you can do is really be a good listener and repeat back and affirm to your customer what they've told you that they want, okay? Customers appreciate when you listen to their needs, understand their needs, and say, okay, so let me just make sure I understand, because I don't want to waste your time. You've told me that you want a car that goes 1,000 miles an hour, right, that gets 100 miles an hour in gas mileage and ... What you want to do is take the time to be respectful of what they want, understand their needs, and even talk back to them after listening and say, hey, listen, I want to just make sure that I'm completely clear. So when I walk out of here, I'm trying to get the solution to your particular problem or issue. Next is ask them questions that actually engage them, right? Most salespeople don't actually really try to understand what a customer's need is and get into it with them, right? So you might say, give my example of okay, I want a car that goes 1,000 miles an hour. You say, you know, it's going to be hard to find a car that goes 1,000 miles an hour, but tell me a little bit more about what you're trying to achieve, okay? actually getting into them and getting into it with them and asking them questions that actually engage them in the issue, number one, will make you seem thoughtful about what they're trying to do, but number two, will make them go, wow, this person is actually really thinking about my problem. They're not just kind of showing up and trying to sell me something. Another technique that you can use is managing expectations proactively. Customers appreciate when you're candid with them and set the stage about what you're going to do. If you go to them and say, hey, listen, I'm going to deliver to you a car that goes 1,000 miles an hour, it's much better to say, listen, I know that there are cars that go 125 miles an hour. I'm not really sure they go faster than that, but I'm going to come back to you, and in a week, I'm going to present to you the fastest driving cars that I can find, okay? You're setting expectations and you're setting up a process proactively to try to make the most efficient use of their time, okay? So you don't have to use all these different techniques all the time, but hopefully what you've garnered from this is a general theme, okay? That it's really about your customer. It's about serving them. It's about the things that you do to be respectful of their time and are thinking about what their problems are. Those are the types of things that create a positive impression in your buyer's mind. Thanks for listening. In addition to this video, we've got detailed information on a lot of these different techniques about creating a positive impression, and you can find that information side by side with this video in this particular lesson.